Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the annual awards program of the National Sportscasters and Sportswriters Association. 2005 has brought us back together for the purpose of celebrating and honoring the best among you for your skills in presenting the public with the stories and the play-by-play at the sports that we all enjoy. It's the only way we know to give our thanks. My name is Carl Hales, and I have the pleasure of being your host and your MC for the evening. We are thrilled to have you join us for the 46th time here in Salisbury. We congratulate all of you and our thanks to all of you. We thank you for sharing your talent with those of us who love sports but are unable to attend the games. We thank you for being our eyes and our ears, and we thank you for the analysis of the games that we all like to watch. As always, Salisbury, North Carolina says welcome and thank you. If you don't hear it anyplace else, you will always hear thank you in Salisbury. So, to all of you, welcome home. It's the folks right here in Salisbury, North Carolina who keep alive the genuine respect and love we have for our sportscasters and sportswriters of America. Now, before we do anything else, we need to begin our program the way that all of you are accustomed to starting sporting programs. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Neil Wilkinson, a talented vocalist who has thrilled us in the last few years with his beautiful rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner. Neil has opened many sporting events with his voice, from NASCAR to baseball. He has opened games for the Mets and the Orioles, and this summer will sing for the Diamondbacks. He's sung in churches with choirs in America and in England, and is here tonight to start us off the way all of us know a sporting event should begin. And now please rise and listen to the voice of Neil Wilkinson as he sings our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Neil. You may all be seated. You will have the opportunity to hear Neil sing a little bit later. I ask you now for something very special. The Hall of Fame lost one of its own this year, Bob Murphy. So I would ask that you please join me in a moment of silence as we remember his many contributions to the world of sports as he saw it being played. Please pause. Thank you. And now, we would like to take advantage of this opportunity to recognize a few of the people who make this event possible. It doesn't just happen, as I'm sure you know. There are people who sit on boards and committees, people who sponsor, and people who work throughout the year to make this evening happen. With your indulgence, I would like to introduce a few of these people. This will not be an exhaustive list and probably not a complete one, but we have tried to list everyone in the program, so please do take your programs and read it cover to cover. I have a few names of people that have made all of this happen for us and have been making it happen for all these 46 years. I'd like to single out a couple of committees, not all of them, but just a couple, and ask you to recognize them. Of course, we want to thank this year's chairperson, Mr. Bob Setzer. Bob, stand up and let us see you. Where is he? There he is. We'd also like to make sure that we thank Mike McDuffie and his Transportation Committee. They've been a marvel to watch, and if you had any idea what's going on in the background, you would know how chaotic it potentially is. The other committee that I would like to have you recognize is the Decorations Committee. Under the leadership of Carol Simmons and Carol Snow, this committee has put in endless hours, and they have tried to make everything look good, and I think they have done that very, very well. And we want to thank them for the wonderful party last night. Carol and Carol, stand up. There they are. Now, I realize I've left out a lot of other folks on this committee that has worked so hard through the year, but we can't name everybody. But if all of you who are on a committee will just please stand up and let us recognize you. If you're on any committee, please stand up. All of us would like to publicly acknowledge our sincere thanks to Bill and to Shari Graham for their so graciously hosting us on Saturday night at their home here in Salisbury. Thank you, right here. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina at the Graham's house, wouldn't you agree? Thanks again. I mentioned as I opened this that we have been in existence for 46 years, and there are a few of us who have been around a while. I'm a Johnny-come-lately. I didn't start until 1978. However, there is one group, one couple that started 46 years ago, and I would like to recognize them now, have them stand. Hank and Petey Palmer, please stand up and let us see you. Over here. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention the office and the office personnel that really puts it all together every year and keeps us straight. That's our program director, the irreplaceable Barbara Lockhart. Would you stand up, Barbara? For those of you at this end, she really did stand up. Along with her daughter, Cassandra Barrier. Cassandra, stand up too. If this weekend doesn't cause that baby to come 2 months early, I don't know what will. Several people sit on our national board, and some of them are present tonight. Would you all stand and let us recognize you as I call your names? Current President Mitch Holtis. Right here. Ben Abrams. Ben, where are you? Down here. Mike Donahue, right here. Bob Paul. Here's Bob. John Pruitt. Sam Simmermaker. Dave Snell. I think I got everybody. If I missed someone, let me know. Did I miss any of the National Board? Doug Logan. You're going to meet him in a minute. We also want to introduce Bob Brown to you, 1997 SGMA National winner. Bob, stand up and be recognized. Here he is. The 2004 National Athletic Trainers Association winner is Karen Krause, and she's with us. Karen, stand up. We want to extend our thanks to Ellen Satloff of NATA and our own local representative, Bob Kasmus. Bob and I have worked together for some time at Catawba College, and it's a pleasure to call him colleague. It is even more of a pleasure this year than last year, because unfortunately, I got scoped this year, and Bob got me back on my feet. So Bob, thank you for that, and thank you for everything that you do. Thanks for bringing everybody here from NATA. This year marks the beginning of a new relationship for NSSA. We have begun work with USA Football, beginning with an outstanding clinic offered to the local children of Salisbury and Rowan County. There are 2 new awards to be recognized as a result of this partnership, known as the NSSA USA Football Champions. You have already met them, or at least one of them who is here, but it is such an important relationship for us that we really want to let you know how important USA Football is to us. And we thank you for all that you have already done and that you will be doing in the future. There are 2 people whose names need to be mentioned at this time. One of them is here, and would you please stand, Linda Brewster of Maine, Cumberland, Maine. Unfortunately, John Frederick of Waipahu, Hawaii, could not be with us, but he is the other winner. Linda is with us tonight, and we are glad to see her again. I'd like to, we've had her stand, and we'd like to tell her how much we appreciate all she has done to get football started in Maine, in Cumberland, Maine, and without you, it wouldn't have happened, and we thank you for that. We also have other representatives from USA Football. Kathleen Healy, would you please stand up and be recognized? Scott Hallenbeck, would you stand up? And we have one more person that we're going to ask to come up here and tell us a little bit about the partnership. David Ogren, would you come up?
Thanks very much. I will be brief because I know that you all want to get out of here, and those of you on that first bus want to be able to pack before you go. I have been warned about how long this night is. I just want to tell you that we are so thrilled to be beginning this relationship with the NSSA. Excuse me. I very much want to thank your president, Mitch Holtis, because he is really the guy that got us into this. But we are very much looking forward to being here and getting to know you for a long, long time and to a real long-term relationship. I want to thank Bob Setzer. I want to thank the Grahams. I want to thank all of the people here who have been so hospitable to us. And I want to tell you that the way that you can really help us, I can see how this fraternity of the NSSA is a real family, and that the people in Salisbury have made it a family, and they welcome the writers and the sportscasters as members of a family. Our job at USA Football is to really identify the football family in the United States. And after we go home from here, we're going to be getting back in touch with a lot of you because we need to find the Linda Brewsters all across America. There are a few like her, but you've got stories in each of your towns, and you have programs in many of your communities that are completely unaffiliated with a national organization. We don't want to create a bureaucracy. Those of you that were at the Grahams heard me talk Saturday night. But there's a lot of services and resources that we can help provide to this great game of football to help strengthen it and make it stronger and healthier for the future across this great country. So you're going to be hearing more from us. You're sure going to be seeing more of us because we're going to be back here, I hope, for a long, long time. I want to thank my friend Charlie Templeton and the Coke folks. I know you're going to get thanked later, but I've known Charlie for a long time. I'm delighted to see their involvement. I'm delighted to see him here. And we are really privileged to be with you tonight. I want to thank Mitch again, Kathleen, for the role that the two of them played, particularly in spearheading the nomination and selection process. And we look forward to getting to know a lot of you in the years to come. Thank you very much.
A couple more people very quickly, if you don't mind. I'd like to recognize Ray Mcgilvray from the New England Cablevision. Ray, are you here? Yeah. We'd also like to extend our thanks to Lucy Talley of the Salisbury Post for all that she has done and for the coverage of NSSA this week. I think all of you saw the insert that we had earlier. You also saw that wonderful coverage that we had just yesterday, and we appreciate that very much. So, Lucy, thank you. Though we will meet him later, please welcome Hall of Fame member Dan Jenkins. We need to say hello to him. Hall of Fame member Dan Jenkins. Stand up, Dan. And we'd also like to thank some of our national sponsors. Let's hear it for Baker's Inn, General Mills, F&M Bank, and though you will meet him also later on, would you say hello to Charlie Templeton, Coca-Cola Company. As you know, Coca-Cola is the sponsor of tonight's program, and we really appreciate the wonderful folks at Coca-Cola. Our local representative from Coca-Cola here in Salisbury is Guy Torrance. Where are you, Guy? Is the Guy here? Don't believe he made it. Salisbury, North Carolina has a reputation. Lots of good things come out of here. Some of the folks who went on the tour with me today found out just how important Salisbury has been in the development of this part of the country. But one of our reputations is that of having outstanding mayors. This could not be more evident than with our current mayor. If you've never witnessed the charm and grace of Southern hospitality, then you need to have a short conversation with our First Lady of Salisbury, who this year will have a very special presentation. Please welcome Mayor Susan Klutz.
I am delighted to be here again this year for the 8th time on behalf of the City of Salisbury to say welcome to each one of you and congratulations to the winners. I want to say thank you too to the Board of Directors, the staff, and the hosts. I think you prove what is so true about Salisbury and what a very special place it is, and I'm very proud of each and every one of you. And you know, a couple of special things for our city happened this weekend. One is Mr. and Ms. Langdon's picking Salisbury to be married. I'm just so proud of that, and I want to congratulate them again. And I also want to say a very special thank you to NSSA and USA Football for what you did this weekend in offering the football clinic free of charge for all of our middle school children in Salisbury and Rowan County. I just think that is fantastic, and thank you on behalf of them. You know, last year was a special year for me. It's the first time in my 8 years that someone from Salisbury was a state winner. And I'd just like to ask Mr. Howard Platt to stand from WSTP Radio here in Salisbury. Howard, Salisbury is still proud of you, so thank you. And I'll tell you something else. You know, we believe here in Salisbury that if you live here and you're a Salisburian once, you're always a Salisburian. So that makes me very happy because I get to point out two people tonight who are here. Mr. Ron Morris, if you'd please stand, who state winner from South Carolina. But I'm proud to say intern with the Salisbury Post here. Congratulations. And also Mr. Marty Brennaman, if you'd please stand. The voice of the Cincinnati Reds, but formerly from Salisbury and WSTP. And I just want to say a special thank you. I heard you on the radio this morning. You probably didn't realize I was listening. But you said something very important. You said this was a special city with special people. And you said it to the right audience because you stole my words. But that is true, and I am very proud. I've got another first for tonight. Tonight is the first time that I'm going to sort of turn the tables on someone, and I'm going to present an award. And this is going to be a surprise. The person that I am going to present this to tonight is no stranger to NSSA. He's a 3-time Sportscaster of the Year from 2 different states, Virginia and New York. He's a former president and chairman of the National NSSA. For the last 14 years in a row, he has come to Salisbury. He has presented the awards to the state winners. And for the last 8 years that I've been here, I've sat at the table with him, and so I know how dedicated he is to making tonight successful. His dedication, his professionalism, and also his energy and his enthusiasm for NSSA are contagious. So tonight, it's my pleasure to join NSSA and to present on behalf of the City of Salisbury a key to the city to Mr. Doug Logan.
goodness. Are you beautiful? Are you beautiful? Oh, my goodness. Let's get Ivan over here. Oh, thank you. Thank you so very much. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The box.
Congratulations, Doug. And thank you, Susan. All of you, before you came down here, just visited the Hall of Fame, and I hope you noticed the plaque on the wall as you entered the building. If you missed it, let me tell you that it says that this is a gift of Coca-Cola. NSSA and Coca-Cola are partners in this venture, and let me tell you that we are proud of that relationship. Coke has a lot of different products, and they're all just great. You've all heard me extol the Coke products for years, and I'm still a very big Coke fan. But one of your sports-related products that I think all of you have had a chance to try now, because you found one in your Powerade bag, and that was a Powerade bottle, and it is as good as anything that you'll ever have. It is refreshing, wonderful. You saw that boldly imprinted on your beautiful blue bags that you received. So the people of Powerade have established a program which is called the Powerade Sports Story of the Year. It's given to one sportscaster and one sportswriter from entries submitted to a select NSSA committee, which judges the winners. Here to present the winners of the Powerade competition is our dear friend from Atlanta, representing Coca-Cola and Powerade, Mr. Charlie Templeton.
Doug, I hate to tell you this, I really do, but I bought my key to the city at the gas shop at the Holiday Inn 5 years ago. So it ain't no biggie, pal. It's great to come from the mayor. I don't diminish that. I want to thank everyone here for allowing us to participate again. I think this is my 22nd year. And I'm also glad that Dave Ogren is here because we are old friends. And I think the NSSA membership needs to really get behind the USA football program. It's a good one. It'll make the organization grow as well as their opportunities. And I congratulate Dave and Mitch and all those who've had so much to do with that. Those who were here last year remember that I kind of had to change my talking on the fly because I had a lot of remarks about my lovely wife who was supposed to have shown up with me last year. And due to a kickball accident with a 2-year-old grandchild, she broke a toe and wasn't able to get here. Well, this year, for the first time in 22 years, she is here. So my wife, Janet, is here for the first time. And, I was thinking about why I really cared about her, and she's such a beautiful, intelligent lady, but she loves college football. And she understands professional baseball. And on the right day, she can even explain the infield fly rule to you if you pin her down close enough. And I don't think there are a lot of casters and writers here that can do that. So that's pretty good. So Janet, I'm really happy that you're here. Now, a lot of times I come with what I think are snappy comments. Some people laugh, some people look at their watches. But this year, Carl, I got nothing. I'm sorry, I just got nothing. I got nowhere to go. Nah, I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't let you get away with that. First, I want to congratulate Carl because this is a signal for Carl, too, because he's in his retirement days. He's put his grease pack together, and he's hung up his baton, and he's retired for Catawba. However, he is re-upped with NSSA for the next 25 years. And I think he got a 10% pay raise over what you've been getting the last 46 years, right? Okay. I also want to congratulate the facilities committee who finally, after 46 years, said, why don't we put names or numbers on tables and people can find out where they're supposed to sit? And they said, what a great idea. I just think that's, that's record-breaking and certainly, I don't know what else to say about it. It astounded me when I learned about it. And then they put the number on the back of the back. Well, that's an intelligence thing, so I don't want to get into that. I want to ask if you would indulge me for a couple of minutes. I said I've been here a long time, but I owe a lot to a lot of friends in the Salisbury community and around. And there are many of those, the Hales, of course, and Tom Robinson and his wife, and the Smiths, and so many others, that I just so greatly appreciate you allowing us to come up here and be a part of this weekend and just take part in the whole procedures. And we've met so many people, made so many friends. Was that my out cue? Was that what that was? Okay. And all these relationships are very nice and special to me, but there's one that's very, very special, and that's with my good friends, Ozzy and Patsy Reynolds. My first introduction to NSSA was I was wandering around like all you first-timers and didn't know what I was supposed to do, where I was supposed to go. And this lady walked up to me and she said, you know, I was told to look for a short, wide guy with a mustache, and you must be him. And that was my introduction to Patsy Reynolds. So, Patsy, thank you very much. And then, of course, there's Ivan Boyer, who is such a master with taking the photography. And, you know, I call him one shot because he's got it when he does one shot, right? You don't need any more because he saves a lot of film that way, too. But that's enough of the personal blather. Oh, there is one other person who's not here tonight I do want to thank, and that's Trooper Johnson of the North Carolina State Patrol, who showed great compassion and intelligence today. And I don't want to go any further with it than that, but I thank him in his absence. This is the 10th year of the Powerade National Sports Story of the Year Award, and we continue to be gratified by participation. We had over 200 entries again this year, and they're all just superior. Just to refresh your memory, it is an award given to a writer or caster every year for work done the previous year, much like the national awards. The difference is that it's open entirely to all the membership, and this year we're particularly pleased to have two people who won it, and it's judged by an NSSA committee. I never see the entries at all. The first one is the Caster Award, and that is Lee Timmerman from North Dakota. Everybody who is involved in sports at the local level knows how important high school basketball can be in certain communities. And if you start to try to mess around with the tournament times, you just start to get in trouble. And his series was a four-parter on how the state of North Dakota was trying to change the classification levels. And he did a four-parter, as I said, and we're going to run the third part because that kind of is the meat of the event, and then let Lee come up and tell you about how the rest of it came down. By the way, Lee is from South Dakota and is probably the only person I've ever known that comes from a town that has a teapot as a water tower. Now, I'm not sure how all that happened. Maybe he can explain. Lee, let's run the tape now.
Today we wrap up our three-part series on the subject, and like the votes taken before, the southwest part of the state is driving the proposed change.
This is the eye of the three-class basketball storm, Dickinson Trinity High School.
Is this an anti-Trinity proposal?
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, Trinity, being in the southwest, is in favor of it.
That's true. Trinity will vote yes. But that's not to say Trinity and the rest of the area schools are voting that way for the same reasons.
A lot of those parochial or private schools are located in bigger cities where they do have the opportunity to pull from a larger population, and thus they probably would have better athletes or athletes that are of a different caliber than what we would have to choose from.
We abide by all the same rules as anybody else enrollment-wise, and we just have some pretty good programs.
But the program this affects is basketball, and the Trinity boys have won 5 straight region titles, and the Titans took the Class B state championship in March.
The downside of the equity issue will be a lot of travel involved for people.
The pros would be a greater opportunity for our students, to be more students involved in a state-level competition.
But would the fans still think of it as a state-level competition? Our story yesterday indicated many in South Dakota's 3-class setup missed the big event, or the Super Bowl effect, created by the Boys B in a 2-class system.
It's a classic. The fans love it. Everybody, it is a highlight, it is a highlight certainly of the North Dakota High School Activities Association year. It is.
And since this is such an important vote, one athletic director wishes it took more than a simple majority to pass, like many cities do for bond issues.
Whereas bond issues, it's a supermajority of about 60%, and I'd almost like to see it be a supermajority simply because then I know we'd have more people on board than, say, out of 100 schools, 51 out of 49.
We've totally, I think, set the standards around here. We're the team to beat in this entire region.
We'll find out next week if the majority of the state agrees with the Southwest that Trinity standards are too high to compete with on the basketball floor.
I think that when time comes for the vote, it'll be a close vote.
And the vote takes place in Bismarck during the Activities Association General Assembly a week from tomorrow.
Wait. Go ahead.
Thank you, Charlie. I don't know if you want. I'm not going to push. Don't worry.
I'll pay for this mic, man. Don't push me off.
No. Well, I just want to say that I had two reactions when I got a call from Barbara about the Powerade Award. The first one was, I'm shocked, and the second one was, I'm sorry. Now, let me explain I'm sorry first. We just got back from vacation. We took my dad down to the Texas Motor Speedway. Loves NASCAR racing, just had his first cancer surgery in January, and it was like, Dad, we got to go. And we got back on the 20th of last month, and that's when Barbara called, and we just knew that the turnaround was too short and my wife Amber wouldn't be able to make it here. So that's the I'm sorry part. The I'm shocked part of this is that, to my knowledge, I don't believe a small market has ever won the Powerade Award. I know John Cole, who kept, I guess, bugging me to enter this series, and I kept saying, John, small markets don't win this. And when I talk small, we're, I believe, 152 in Bismarck. You know, New York's #1. And John, I think, told me that the Music City Miracle had 10 different people that all worked on that one story. Well, I had one person who works in graphics do one thing for the first story. Otherwise, I mean, I shot it, I wrote it, I edited, I even shot my own stand-ups. I mean, that's the way it works in the small markets. And we have to do it fast because we still might have 3 games to go to that night. So we have to do it fast. So that's the I'm shocked part of this. It is a hot-button issue in North Dakota, 3 classes of basketball. He explained a little bit about the Class B is the single biggest annual event. And just let me give you a couple of examples. This past March, when we were televising the tournament, we did a little interview segment with a gentleman who was from North Dakota, lived in Los Angeles, and back for his 50th consecutive Boys State B. That's how ingrained it is into the hearts and the minds of the people in the state of North Dakota that love basketball. And the other one, another example, I have a friend of mine who used to broadcast with. He went to work at one of the local hospitals, and he had it in his contract, and he would not sign that contract unless he had vacation during the Class B Boys State basketball tournament. So a vote that would eliminate that or alter that was a big deal. And in really just doing, Dave Lee, who is the voice of the Minnesota Gophers, he knows that. He's from a Class B town in North Dakota. Lou Babbyars, the Sportswriter of the Year from North Dakota, knows that because he, like I, gets the privilege of covering that every year. I intended it to be a 3-part series. Feedback, reaction, it ended up being a 4-part series. So that's just kind of the way things happen. I want to say thanks to everyone with the NSSA in Salisbury. This is my 4th time here. And I actually came back on vacation and stayed in Salisbury with friends we met here at the NSSA. So thank you very much for that. But for a farm kid from South Dakota, from Tea, South Dakota, that's why the Teapot, TEA, coffee and tea, that's my hometown, Tea, South Dakota, for a farm kid to be recognized by the Coca-Cola Company with the Powerade Award in the same breath as Mr. Smith with Sports Illustrated is truly exciting, it is humbling, and it is shocking. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Speaking of Mr. Smith, who among us could forget last year, if they were here, that shameful display of pique at the fact that my very good friend Rick Reilly won his bazillionth National Sportswriter of the Year award. I mean, that set a new low even by NSSA standards, for crying out loud. Well, as fate would have it, Gary Smith from Sports Illustrated is in fact the Powerade Writer winner this year. And if you did not read this story, I really highly recommend you go to the library and get it. It was the March 15th, 2004 issue of Sports Illustrated. The title of the article is Running for Their Lives. And I would like Gary to come up and tell you a little bit about the story and how it came about, because it is really one of the more compelling pieces that I've read. I mean, seriously. So, Gary? By the way, I want you to know that through special arrangement with NSSA, because of our dear friend, we're going to give $500 of your prize to the newly elected or newly constituted Rick Reilly's, I win all the awards, but I never get any money, 503c Foundation to be headquartered in Charleston, South Carolina.
Gladly. Thank you. Well, he asked a little bit about how this story occurred, and it was a movie producer from Hollywood actually called me and was trying to kickstart, hoping Disney would buy this project. So it's kind of a crazy way to get a story. I've never gotten one that way. So anyway, I wrote the story, and it was sold as a movie, but I didn't get anything out of it, so I got screwed. And that's why I'm glad I'm getting at least $1,000 out of these guys. So it all kind of. Anyway, it was just a story about Mexican migrant laborers' sons who have hold the California record for the most state championships ever won. It's pretty amazing. This little town has maybe 2 red lights in it, 2 stoplights in it, and they've won 9 state championships in cross country. This coach who just, for year after year, just took them out every night in the summer and rode his bicycle behind them and kind of chased them along. And they ran through the almond groves and the orange groves, and it's just out in the middle of California farming area. So they won 9 state titles, and it was about them going for number 10 for this coach. Before he was trying to retire with his 10th state title, and these kids, just the pressure on them in this little town to win him number 10. So that's what the story was about. But anyway, it's funny coming back here this year. Last year, if some of you might have been here, I had like 5 of my sisters were here and 2 of my brothers and my mom, and we kind of hijacked Rick Reilly. We brought him in here, then tied him up and put a hood over him, and they were demanding that I win the award, and they weren't going to let him go until I got the award. But it's funny, this year I show up and nobody's asked me like, how you doing, or what story you're working on. It's been, where are your sisters? And let me answer that question. Last year when I was presenting the award to Rick, I asked them to come and everybody came, no problem. This year I won an award and they wanted an appearance fee. But I didn't realize until after the thing last year that I'd actually committed about a half dozen NSSA violations. Barb informed me after the night was over. I took about a half hour of the program with my sisters up here and everybody talking. It took way too long. And then I invited 9 people on the day of the event. I had no idea that this place was like this, that, if somebody wants to go to the bathroom, 50 people have to stand up and move. And so I invited 9 people here. That was another NSSA violation. And then bad taste. I mean, here we have Rick up here. It was the day after the story broke in Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq about, the prisoners with the black hoods on them. And here we got Rick Reilly up here with a black hood on. He's tied up. So anyway, as a result of these violations that I perpetrated last year, I've been sanctioned. Barb told me this year I can't eat anything, I can't invite anyone, and I can't say anything. And then the harshest penalty of all, I have to attend for the next 5 years. But anyway, so I would like to thank Powerade. I'd like to thank Coca-Cola. I would like to thank everyone who voted for me to win this award, but I'm not allowed to say anything.
I hate to tell you, Gary, but you're 2 for 2 on violations, man. This year were a couple of runner-ups that really bear note because it's rare with the Powerade Award. I mean, generally pretty good indication who's going to win, who's going to lose, or whatever. But there were 2 runners-up, one of whom is Carrie Eggers of Portland, Oregon Tribune, who's not here tonight. The other one is Karen Krause, who is, in fact, here. She's an NATA winner. The story that she did concerned swimmer Shirley Babashoff. I don't know where some in the audience who were not NSA members did not remember or did not hear that story. But today, in USA Today, Shirley Babashoff received some vindication by being given the IOC Olympic Order, which is one of the highest honors that the International Olympic Committee can give. So that's a large part. I think I told Karen she could take credit for all of that tonight. So, give that to her. And is there anybody who is not on an NSSA committee that would like to be on one? I mean, everybody? Okay. Well, thanks again. I appreciate being here again this year, and have another good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Well, it's time to give some plaques and some bars away to the state winners from across the United States. So at this time, will the sportscasters who are state winners please line up to my left outside on the concourse. There are a couple of students out there who are going to line you up and make sure that you're coming across the stage at the right time. So if all of you who are sportscasters, please go outside on the concourse. As you cross the stage, please pause long enough to have your picture made and shake hands with the presenter. Our presenter this year is going to be Marty Brennaman. So Marty, if you'll come up here and join us, please. I'd also like to introduce someone else to you, whom you've already met tonight. And I can't tell you how excited I am to have the pleasure of introducing this next person to you. He is a member of the board of directors who has called Salisbury his second home for years, and now he can call it his town. He's got the key to the city. After 19 seasons as voice of the Orange Men in Syracuse and 19 plus years as sports director of the ABC affiliate in Syracuse, Doug is now the general manager of Time Warner's Regional Sports Channel 26. It is my pleasure. He is known to many of you as a gentleman, to others as that consummate professional broadcaster, but to all of us here in Salisbury, he is our dear friend, Doug Logan.
Marty, about halfway down. Thank you very much, Carl. And Mayor Klutz, thank you so very much. On behalf of our state winners, heartiest congratulations to our Hall of Fame inductees, Sally Jenkins and Marty Brennaman, and national winners Joe Buck and Rick Reilly. We appreciate your work, and we share your pride and passion for our great profession. The dedication and the professionalism of our honorees earned them distinction from their peers in 2004. Tonight, our award recipients represent 36 states, and we have with us 16 first-time winners. So let's recognize those who have been voted the very best in the business. Introducing the NSSA Sportscasters of the Year. From the state of Alabama, 3 years with the Crimson Tide Sports Network, play-by-play voice of the Alabama men's basketball team, a first winner, Chris Stewart. Picture. From Arizona, 6 years with Dillon International in Phoenix, play-by-play of the Arizona State Sun Devils and hosts a morning radio show. 19th win for Tom Dillon. From Arkansas, sports director with KATV in Little Rock. 27 years, the voice of the Arkansas Razorbacks. 11-time winner, Paul Eels. From Colorado, 17 years sports director for Fox Sports Rocky Mountain Denver. Play-by-play for the Nuggets, the Rockies, and occasional NFL games. 3rd win for Drew Goodman. From Connecticut, 16-year sports director with WTIC TV in Hartford. Covers the Huskies men's and women's basketball teams. 7th time honored for Rich Coppola. From Delaware, sports talk show host with WWTX in Claymont, the voice of the Delaware State Hornets in football. 1st win for Omar Bashir. From Idaho, 50 years with the Idaho Sports Network. That's 50 years with the network. Newly retired voice of the University of Idaho Vandals. 33rd time honored, Bob Curtis. From Indiana, the vice president of the Regional Radio Sports Network in Crown Point. Covers high school football and basketball, soccer, as well as Notre Dame football. 2nd consecutive win for Mike Knezovich. From Iowa, 25-year sports director with KCRG TV in Cedar Rapids. Covered the Masters, NFL Draft, Iowa Hawkeyes, football and basketball, as well as hunting and fishing. 1st trip to Salisbury, John Campbell. From Kentucky, 8-year sports director with WLAP in Lexington. The play-by-play voice of the Kentucky Wildcats. 2-time winner, Tom Leach. From Maine, sports director, 21 years with WAGM TV in Presque Isle. Covers high school and college sports. 3rd win for Rainey Kluke. From Maine, assistant program director with WZON Radio in Bangor. Play-by-play of the University of Maine Bears hockey. 3rd win for Dan Hannigan. From Michigan, 20-year color analyst for the Michigan Wolverines and Detroit Lions. His 2nd book, Tales from Michigan Stadium, Volume 2, will be published this fall. A Wolverine who played under Bo Schembechler and was 2-1 over Ohio State. 1st-time winner, Jim Brandstatter. From Minnesota, 15 years with WCCO Radio in Minneapolis, St. Paul, broadcasting the Golden Gophers in football and basketball and the Twins in spring training. 1st win for Dave Lee. From Nebraska, freelance broadcaster in Lincoln and Omaha, play-by-play of the College Baseball World Series and hosts an afternoon talk show. 2nd win for Kevin Kugler. From New Hampshire, 25-year voice of the University of New Hampshire Wildcats while producing sports features for public radio. A 19-time winner, Jim Janot. From New Jersey, 25-year sports director with WOBM Millennium Radio New Jersey and Toms River, reports on 4 stations, broadcasts high school football and basketball, and directs a 26-team basketball tournament. 7-time winner, Kevin Williams. From New Mexico, 12-year sports anchor and reporter for KRQE TV 13 in Albuquerque, color analyst for the Lobos football. 5-time winner, Van Tate. From North Carolina, 16th year with the Tar Heel Sports Network, play-by-play voice of the NFL Carolina Panthers, and teaches 2 classes in the UNC School of Journalism. 4th time honored, Mick Mixon. Thank you very much, Mick. From Oklahoma, 23-year sports director of KFOR TV in Oklahoma City, reporting on the Sooners and the Cowboys. 2nd visit to Salisbury, Bob Berry, Jr. Also from Oklahoma, 8 years sports director with KWTV in Oklahoma City, an anchor and host of the Bob Stoops and Kelvin Sampson Sooners coaches shows. 4th win for Dean Blevins. From Rhode Island, sports director, 38 years with WADK Radio in Newport. Broadcasts all high school sports as well as Salve Regina University. 5th win for Bob Angel. From South Dakota, 26-year sports director with KMIT Radio in Mitchell. Play-by-play of about 110 games, including Dakota Wesleyan University, Mitchell High School, and South Dakota State tournaments. 2nd win for Tim Smith. From Tennessee, 7-year sports director with WNOX in Knoxville. Hosts a daily 4-hour talk show as well as freelancing for Sports Illustrated, Lindy's, and Street and Smith's magazine. 2nd win for Jimmy Hines. From Vermont, sports director, 23 years with WSYB in Rutland. Voice of the University of Vermont Hockey and Vermont Expo's New York Penn League Baseball. Newly inducted into the Vermont Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame. 16th win honored here, Jack Healy. From Virginia, 15 years with the Virginia Sports Network in Charlottesville. The voice of the Cavaliers. 3rd visit to Salisbury, Mac McDonald. From West Virginia, 10-year director of broadcasting for Marshall University. This year became the person to call more games than anyone in Thundering Herd history. 4-time winner, Steve Cotton. From Wisconsin, 11 years with the Badger Sports Properties, the play-by-play voice of the University of Wisconsin in football and basketball. 4th win for Matt LePay. And from Wyoming, the general manager and sports director with the radio network, 20 years in Green River, voice of the state champion Green River High School Wolves, while his son Pat played on that championship team. 1st win for Steve Core. Ladies and gentlemen, one more big hand for all of our state-winning sportscasters.
And now if we can have our sports writers step outside on the concourse, we'll get you lined up and we'll start the whole process again for the sports writers of the year from your various states. Please be sure that you stop as you go across because we're going to have Rick Reilly come up and shake your hand and make the presentation. Rick, are you listening?
This is the point in time in the program that I would normally announce the winners of today's golf tournament, but my foursome did not win this year, so we're going to pass on that. I would like, Tom, we needed you out there today. Well, I tell you, we needed you. At this time, I'd like to recognize an NSSA charter member out of Peoria, Illinois, in Stars and Stripes, now living in Florida. His charter member card of NSSA is signed by Lindsey Nelson and Red Smith. I think we ought to just say hi once again to Ben Abrams. Ben, God bless you, my friend. And on Saturday, actually it was Sunday, had breakfast with Ben and with this other gentleman, and it's a treat for me. But a man has been with us for years from the U.S. Olympic Committee, following this baseball season so closely once again. And when I asked him, the first question I asked him, we talked about this Roger Clemens versus Greg Maddux matchup recently, and 2 300-win pitchers, and who's the greatest pitcher you ever saw? And he said, his answer was Walter Johnson. He's watching his 82nd season of the big leagues. Bob Paul. God bless you, Bob. Isn't that something? How many people can answer that? All right. Time now to introduce our state-winning sports writers. From Alabama, 20-year columnist with the Birmingham Post-Herald, lead columnist covering the SEC football, NCAA tournament, and racing at Talladega. 2nd win for Ray Millick. From Arkansas, columnist nearly 50 years with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette in Little Rock, a winner for the 18th time. How about Jim Bailey? California? From California, 12-year columnist with the San Francisco Chronicle, reporting on baseball, NFL, and the Olympics. 9th win for Scott Osler. From Florida, sports columnist with the Palm Beach Post, covered the Super Bowl, the French Open, the Wimbledon, Summer Olympics in Athens, the U.S. Open, the World Series, and accompanied the Florida Marlins to the White House. First trip to Salisbury, Karen Krause.
Tell Rick that Jack wants a kiss, too.
Karen, you must come back. From Georgia, 22 years, a general assignment writer with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, covering college sports, the Braves, and followed Smarty Jones' bid for the Triple Crown. Second win for Jack Wilkinson. From Indiana, 6 years deputy sports editor with the Post-Tribune in Merrillville. Follows mostly the 40-plus high schools in his subscriber footprint. First-time winner, Tom Wyatt. From Kansas, 15-year writer with the Topeka Capital Journal, a beat writer covering Washburn University sports, including the Lady Blues' successful drive to the NCAA Division II National Basketball Championship. First win for Ken Corbett. With Louisiana, 29-year columnist and editor for the Town Talk in Alexandria, providing sports commentary and human interest stories. Second visit to Salisbury, Bob Tompkins. From Maine, editor, 17 years with the Star-Herald and Aroostook Republican in Presque Isle and Caribou, respectively. Covers 8 schools as a writer and photographer. Retired in March. Wait, stay up here, Kevin. Retired in March, and now a stay-at-home father of 3, ages 6, 4, and 7 months. God love ya. 2-time winner, Kevin Schoberg. From Michigan, retired sports columnist, 41 years with the Detroit News, now freelancing with the paper, covering the Ryder Cup, Rose Bowl, and one of 5 writers to cover all 39 Super Bowls. 13th visit to Salisbury, Jerry Green. From Missouri, 9th year sports editor of Washington's Missourian. Covers St. Louis Rams as well as high school and college sports as a writer and photographer. His sports section is an NNA award winner. First visit to Salisbury, Bill Battle. From Nebraska, 25-year sports writer with the Omaha World Herald. Big 12 football and college hockey and golf is the beat. 9th win for Lee Barfneck. From New Hampshire, 3-year writer for the Union Leader in Manchester, follows World Cup champion skier Bodie Miller, NASCAR, UNH, and the Eastern Baseball League's Fisher Cats. 5-time winner for Alan Lessels. New Mexico, 4-year sports writer with the Santa Fe New Mexican, covering the Lobos, scholastic sports, rodeos, and snowboarding. First trip to Salisbury, Lee Yobi. North Carolina, 25-year staff writer with the Raleigh News and Observer, beat writer for the NC State Wolfpack in football and basketball, and reported on the Masters and the U.S. Open. First visit to Salisbury, Chip Alexander. From North Dakota, 7-year sports editor for the Bismarck Tribune, writes on college and high school, as well as the CBA basketball and NAHL hockey. First-time winner, Lo Babiars. Lou, you're the man. Lou Babiars, thank you so much. From Ohio, 42 years with the Dayton Daily News. Boasts the longest tenure of any baseball writer in the country, covering the Cincinnati Reds 33 years. 6-time winner, Hal McCoy. From South Carolina, columnist, 20 years with the Post and Courier, covering all major sporting events. 6th win for Ken Berger. From South Carolina, columnist, 6 years with a state newspaper in Columbia, reporting on the Gamecocks and the Clemson Tigers. First win for Ron Morris. From South Dakota, news and sports editor, 20 years with the Aberdeen American News. He participates in a staff of 4 covering 900 teams in about 50 sports. First-time winner, John Pappendick. From Vermont, 35 years with the Burlington Free Press, covers everything from youth sports to minor league baseball with the Vermont Expos. 5th win for Mike Donahue. Also from Vermont, 18 years with the Rutland Herald, covers high school, collegiate athletics, and writes for a website. Look at this. Atta baby, Mike. Recently inducted into the Norwich University and Castleton State College Halls of Fame. 7th win for Tom Haley. From West Virginia, 33 years with the Charleston Daily Mail, covering the Marshall University Thundering Herd. Became engaged a year ago in Salisbury and is a newlywed today. To Bonnie, 7th honor for Chuck Landon.
Sing something for their first dance.
Party in room 215. And from Wisconsin, 17 years with the Associated Press covering the Green Bay Packers, NCAA football and basketball, the NBA, you name it. 2nd win for Arnie Stapleton. To all of our state winners, heartiest congratulations. And in the years ahead, as you continue to strive to be the best that you can be, please take some time out to help NSSA be the best it can be. Support the Powerade program, USA football program, the NATA awards program. Open a bank account in F&M. Lace up your Nike sneakers. Get your Coca-Cola and General Mills cereal at Food Lion. Drink Childress wines and spend the night at the Grahams. And please, spread the word of NSSA and our wonderful hosts and the charming city of Salisbury. My congratulations to you all.
As I said, the consummate professional. What a thrill for all of us to recognize the people who have chosen the national winners each year. This is especially true when you read the quality of the sports reporting of today. The new reporters, whether they write for newspapers, magazines, or books, broadcast on radio or television, are among the best who have ever served sporting events. With great pride, I take us to that part of the program that honors the best of the best. Golf is a big part of the lives of many of you sitting here tonight, but no one has a bigger stake in the game than Tom Lehman. He has won 5 PGA Tour events, including a major championship, Skins Game, 4 Hogan Tour events, and a few other tournaments not sanctioned by the PGA. Tom has played in 3 Ryder Cups, 2 President's Cups, a World Cup, and a Dunhill Cup. He's the only player ever to be a Hogan Tour Player of the Year and go on to be the PGA Tour Player of the Year. He is among only 4 players to win a tournament on the PGA Tour after being named Hogan Tour Player of the Year. With all of his success, he hasn't forgotten those less fortunate than himself. Tom hosts the Dayton's Challenge every year in Minneapolis to raise money for the Children's Cancer Research Fund. His great caddy, Andy Martinez, says of him, he's one of the most humble people I've ever met. Tom is not just lucky, he's just plain good. His good fortune is linked not just to skill, however. He has a strong relationship with God through his Christian faith, and he has the support of a wonderful wife, Melissa. Please welcome golfing great, Tom Lehman.
Oh, you're kind. Thank you. Thank you. You're very kind. And golfing great, I'm not sure if I agree with that. Golfing good, possibly great, I'm not sure. You know, it's great to be here in Salisbury. You know, it brings back my very first memory of coming to North Carolina. I'm from a little town in Minnesota, 6,000 people. And, you know, back then I kind of talked a little more like this, you know, and a little more of the Minnesota thing. And so when I came down here to North Carolina, you know, I had this caddy, and I said to him, "Hi, my name is Tom." And he says, "Hello." Well, he said, "Hi, my name is Bill." And so the whole week I called him Bill, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, that's the most unique name I've ever heard, Bill. And so it came time to write the check, and I say, "Bill, can you please spell your name for me? Is it B-E-E-L or B-E-A-L or what?" He goes, "You dumb, B-I-L-L." Okay, Rick. Okay, I want you to stand up and show everybody what you're writing on. Do you have your pad out right now? He's got his pad, okay. See this pad right here? This pad will get you in trouble, okay? So I want you to hand the pad to somebody else right now. I don't want to see that pad out. Okay, that pad causes a lot of problems, that pad. Yeah, all the pads got to go. You know, because Rick caddied for me in the Disney Classic a couple years ago. We actually finished, I think, 10th, didn't we? We had a 10th, top 10, Ryder Cup points, the whole 9 yards. And, you know, you had the yardage book in one hand, and you know, I don't do my yardages. I let my caddy do my yardages. So I just wanted him to tell me how far I have to the hole, and then I pick out a club and I hit it. And so Rick was doing the yardages. You know, every time I'd say something worth writing down, he'd pull out the pad. Okay, and the pad would come out, and when the pad came out, it was like everybody shut up. Everybody in the group shut up. Nobody said anything when the pad came out. So we're at this little function this night, and you know, we're just a little get-together for the families, a little barbecue and everything, and all the women, all our wives are chasing the kids around where all the toys are, and Rick and I and the guys are sitting around and just kind of shooting the breeze, and the pad comes out. And so he's asking all these golf questions, you know, and as typical sports writers do, you know, they kind of gain your confidence, and, you know, and like, what are your dreams for the year? And boy, you had a great event last week, and how do you feel about the Ryder Cup? And then the question came, what other golfer's wife would you most like to sleep with? Okay, the pad was out, and everybody shut up, okay? And I mean, like, dead quiet. I mean, nobody said a word, and he goes, well, I think I'd kind of like this, like her, okay? And we're all kind of looking like this, and so I decided I probably shouldn't tell you who that person was, but I can guarantee you, if Chris DeMarco knew what he said, he'd be really. You know, Rick is a funny guy. He's very clever, very, very clever, and I'm really honored. I mean, I'm honored to be here. I really am. You know, we go back quite a ways. He's one of the guys who's always been really good to me in sports, and he's always been fair to me, and he's the funny one. So when he gets up here, I'm sure he'll crack you up. You know, I'm going to be a little more serious and tell a few more, you know, true stories, you know, real life stories about Rick Reilly, so that you kind of get a real good insight into this person. I'm sure you know Barnum and Bailey Circus, you know, the circus, and we've all been to him as a kid, and this story is pretty out there, pretty wacko, but it involves him, and it's true, so you got to kind of bear with me. They have a traveling troupe of midgets in the Barnum and Bailey Circus, I mean, little short people, and there was 3 of them in particular who were sitting around and discussing how they wanted to be notable, they wanted to be remembered in the world, and the one said, you know, I think I've got the world's smallest head. The other 2 said, that's probably right. The second one said, well, I'm pretty certain I've got the world's smallest feet. And then they said, oh, that very well could be. You're pretty small. You probably got pretty small feet. And the third one says, you know, I think I've got the world's smallest fishing tackle. I think you know what I mean. Equipment, package, whatever you want to say. And they say, well, that's probably right. And so they, you know, we got to go down to the Guinness Book of World Records office and really see if it's indeed true. So the next day they went down, and the first guy goes in, he comes out, and he's all excited, jumping down. He says, it's true, I've got the world's smallest head. The second guy goes in, he comes out, he's up and down, yes, it's really true, I'm so excited, I've got the world's smallest feet. The third guy comes out and he's walking like this. And they go, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Who the is Rick Reilly anyway?" Okay, so it's not a true story. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, the pad's out. Okay, I know I'm going to get it in the next life of Reilly, whenever that might be. I'm going to get crucified. I know we better win the Ryder Cup, right? Because or else it's coming right back at me. I hear you. Well, this is a true story. This one here. I'm not sure if you ever heard the story of him starting writing. Has he ever told you how he started writing? You ever heard that story? Endlessly. Well, here it is. He was in college and basically flunking out, very misdirected, didn't know where he wanted to go, didn't know what he wanted to do, and was having a hard time with his studies, and wasn't sure about the direction his life was going to go. And all he knew was he had to get some good grades or he's going to flunk out of college. And so he decided at the urging of his friends to take this religion class in his college. And it was an easy class because the professor gave the same final exam every year, and the exam question was to write this essay about Paul's missionary journey. And he figured, what can be easier? You get the book, you read about Paul's missionary journey, and you go take the exam, and everything is great. You pass, you get an A, and life goes on. So that's what he did. He'd sleep till 10, get up, read about Paul's missionary journey, and then he'd have a big party that night and figured he's got a sure A. Well, he gets to the final exam. The question goes on the board, and what do you suppose the question is? It says, write a critical analysis of Jesus Christ's Sermon on the Mount. I'm not sure Rick is a theologian or anything, but I don't think he knew much about that one. But he starts writing anyway, and he writes and he writes and writes, and he gets the grade, and he gets an A. And okay, here's how the paper started. Who am I to criticize Jesus Christ? What I want to talk about is Paul's missionary journey. Going back to that time caddying, you gave me a couple lines that I've used over and over and over again. In the course of a 4-day tournament with 2 practice rounds, they spent a lot of time together in the golf course, and one of the questions that I asked him was, your best interview, who did you enjoy talking to the most? And he said, without question, it was Lester Hayes. I go, why Lester Hayes? Well, he's a great guy, he's really nice, he overcame his really difficult speech impediment. He had a lisp and he overcame it to be able to speak properly. But more than anything is because he would always make up words, and he was really funny. So I said, well, give me an example. And so I would tell you one time, I said, Lester, just why are you so good? What makes you so good? He says, Rick, it's because of my strength and my physicality. So now when anybody ever says to me, why are you playing so well? I say, I'll tell you it's because of my strength and my physicality. So I got that one from you. The other one I'll leave alone. I probably shouldn't go there. I've gone far enough already, so I'll... No, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. Well, I do remember another one. I know that at the time he caddied for me, it was right after the Ryder Cup, which I finished 11th on the point list and then didn't get picked. Usually, if you have a guy who's 11th on the point list who just misses qualifying for the team, and the guy is a veteran of Ryder Cups and has had success, the captain will pick you as one of his 2 captain's picks. Well, I got kind of overlooked, and so I was pretty steamed about that. And Rick was pretty steamed for me about that, and so he wrote a very nice article in support of me, and I don't think the other guy liked it very much, but anyway, he told me this story about how he wrote a story about these 2 older gentlemen who played golf all the time, and they've been playing golf together for, 40 or 50 years or 30 years, some long, long time. Every Saturday they'd be out there playing, and at this point in time they're probably in their 80s or their late 70s, and every time one of them would hit a good shot, you turn to the guy and say, hey, take a that. Okay, that was the line they would use to each other. Okay, and so we were talking about this and how it related to the Ryder Cup and how I was so upset at Curtis Strange. Oops, I shouldn't have said that name. And we were on the 15th tee talking about all this, and I was really mad. I'd hit the 6 iron about this far from the hole, and I said, Rick, take a that. And so I use that one all the time now. But anyway, that story is true. That story is true. Anyway, on a more serious note, you think about the great performers in sports, the great politicians and in diplomacy. You think about the people who are great in any endeavor they are a part of, and the names come, fairly fast, and there's a pretty small group. In golf, for example, you start talking about the greats of all time. You're talking Jack Nicklaus and Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson and now coming up Tiger Woods. It's a pretty small group of people. And then I'm not a huge, I don't know a whole lot about the writers of the world, but I do know that there's very few writers you can put in one breath who go in that same strata as a Jack Nicklaus would in golf, or a Muhammad Ali in boxing, and Jim Murray comes to mind right off the bat. There's one guy sitting right here in front of me who comes to mind, Red Smith, Herbert Warren, Wynn, some of the great names of all time. Well, Rick Reilly is right there. When you think of the heavyweights, the greats of all time, Rick Reilly is definitely one of the greats. And the sports teams always talk about the three-peat, or one for the thumb. Well, he's working on toes now. He's got 10. So I'm just going to right now say, Rick, it's a pleasure and honor for me to congratulate you, to award you with the Sportswriter of the Year award for the 10th time, Rick Reilly.
Thanks very much. Really, thanks. Wow, very nice. Standing ovation, great. No train yet, that's good. Tommy, thank you for coming. I originally asked him to come because I thought he was going to play in the Wachovia starting this week. Well, he's not even playing in the Wachovia. So he came here just for this, so I think that was really cool. Thank you so much. He's playing so well, and as a Ryder Cup captain, traditionally, I think it's time to ask, when do you start? Don't they start about now? They always just go right downhill when they pick him for Ryder Cup captain. It's cool a guy has so much success, wearing Dockers, which I think is cool. And also a guy with Tourette's, as he's always doing this. I don't know how you do it with that, but everybody that I know in golf always thinks of Tom as the best dad, the best friend. I know him as the guy you really want to use your locker when he comes to your town to do a tournament, because this is no lie. When he uses your locker, he leaves you, as he leaves town, 4 dozen balls, right? 4 gloves, sometimes a couple hats. Incredible what you'll leave in people's locker. When you're his caddy, he brings you out breakfast. He brings you out breakfast. Hey, I brought you a little something. I know you've been standing out here for a while. I brought you, I know you like these cinnamons. Or, the other caddies are going, how do you get this guy? He's got great patience. I don't know if you remember this, but remember we were playing the Disney course, and I think it was the second day I had you, and I'm trying to take notes and keep the clubs clean and getting water and everything, and I wasn't that good at getting the yardages, if you remember. And it was like 186, and I'd get out and get it to 186 and find the mark and then pace it back to his ball. And I'd say, okay, that's 186 plus 13 is 199 plus 11 to the hole, that's 210. He'd say, well, actually, it's 186 minus 13 because you walked forward. Okay, that's my bad. I admit that. So then the very next hole, remember, I think the very next hole was like, okay, I got to there 150, and so I walked, paced it up. Okay, it's 150 minus 13, 137 plus 11 to the hole, 148. He says, no, this time you walked and you should have added. That's my bad. I apologize for that. Finally, I said, look, at this point he goes, how did you pass 5th grade math? And I'm like, I will get the right yardage this time, I promise. And I remember he hits the next shot, and I got out of the box right away. I was ahead of everybody. Got to the mark, paced it off. I said, I know exactly. It's 200 plus 10, because I walked backwards, 210 plus another 13 to the hole, 223. He said, yes, that's good, Rick, but that's Bernhard Langer's ball. Remember that? That's true. That's true. Oh. And the other great thing about Tom Lehman, that's so cool about Lehman getting success, is because he knocked around every Bush League you know, he played whatever, the Hooters and the Jordan and the thing in Wyoming, remember, and you kicked around. And one time, he admits this happened, he won the Wyoming Open or something. I think it was, you know, in Casper or something, and he still had to drive to Kalispell for the next week's tournament. And he had slept the last 2 nights in his car, winning the Wyoming Open. And now he hasn't showered in about 4 days. He's got all this sweat on him. He's driving along, you know, Rock Springs, Wyoming or something, which, you know, Wyoming's a lovely place, but Rock Springs isn't that great. Now he's 40 miles outside of Rock Springs. He can hardly stand the smell of himself. It starts to pour, rain down pouring. So he pulls behind this building as fast as he can. I mean, it's just coming down, right? Middle of the night, 3 in the morning, takes off all his clothes, gets out his DOP kits, and showers in the rain. He's the first person in history to bathe behind a toot and moo. Isn't that true? That did happen though, didn't it? Oh God, you're a sick person. Another cool thing about Tom doing so well, and oh, sorry. You remember after all those close calls you had at the U.S. Opens? I mean, you were right in there so many times, and the close call at the Masters with the Lothar and all that, which, you know, the chairman at the Masters wanted you to win so much. Remember Mr. Stevens? Because he did not want to pronounce Jose Maria Olazabal. And he's like, oh. And Olazabal won that year, and he's got to present the green jacket on the putting green after in front of about 1,000 people. And he couldn't quite get his mouth around this name. And I remember he's like, kind of took a running start at it. You know, he's like, and now your Masters champion, Jose Maria Olazabal, Joe Mary, the young Spaniard, come on up. That's great. But anyway, so, and then you remember you had that close call at Olympic, and they set that pin like on a castle or a moat or something. It was like stupid. And you know, I think you 3-putted there and whatever, you lost by 1 shot. And I remember talking to you and your knockout wife, sorry, but she's quite gorgeous. I was talking to him and Melissa, and I said, Tom, you know, I think this is 4 Opens. We've been in the final group and you didn't win. I said, how do you deal with this? I mean, you're so close. I mean, sure, the checks are great, but I know you want one badly. And Melissa just stops me and says, look, it's nothing a great night of sex isn't going to cure. Remember she said that? And I said, I know. And I said, you know, I lost my club member. Yeah, what's that? Here's my train, yes. Whenever the trains come by, I like to just swear like no one hears me. Who else is here? Gary Smith is here. Gary Smith, who I think I've said before, I think is the best rider at SI by far. I don't know how he doesn't win these. I'm glad he doesn't because I love coming here. But, you know, what you did last year, you know, that tying me up and putting the hood on me and, you know, all that. And I just want you to know, when we get back to the hotel, could you do that again? That wasn't that bad. I kind of like that. Of course, my favorite rider that's ever been at SI is here. The great Dan Jenkins is here, and my hero. No, he taught me something that, you know, stuck with me my whole career. It's really made all the difference, and that is how to smoke, drink coffee, and scotch all at the same time. It's sickening, though. It's sickening to meet Dan Jenkins, you know, all this wonderful stuff that came out of his typewriter, and then to meet him the first time and see him write and see that he was done in 45 minutes. I mean, I write until USA Today comes under the hotel room door, and he's done in 45. Well, where are you going, Dan? You going to go back and work in the hotel room? No, I'm done, kid. What's your problem? And of course, my great friend Sally Jenkins is here, who I think writes rings around me. I think she's one of the best writers ever. First woman ever, right? Inducted into the Hall of Fame, Carl? And first woman. And is she not the youngest Is she not the youngest at what, 40, 41, 42, 44? I don't think anyone's been younger in the Hall of Fame, do you? So congratulations. Great job by you. Unbelievable. Mike, the transportation guy, I always love the beginning of the show. We start with the transportation needs. And I want you to know, you're talking to sportswriters, Mike. We don't stop throwing up till about 5:45. So I don't know what you're talking about 5:30. A special person in my life is here tonight, and I don't want any of you guys going near her. It's my girlfriend. Thank you so much for coming. Reka Ohal, would you stand and just say hi? She's a professional singer and musician, and hopefully we'll get her drunk and she'll play tonight for us all. But she's also funny. I just got my divorce the other day, it's final, and she looked at me and she said, "You look thinner. Have you lost wife?" Maybe that was a little off color for down here. And in a minute, we're going to hear from Marty Brennaman, who's one of my favorite broadcasters ever. And Marty should be awarded just for living through the Marge Schott era, I think. Marge Schott, the very aging owner of the Cincinnati Reds, who I once asked, she inherited the team from her husband, who died like 23 years before, and I asked her about the husband, and he said, "These are his socks." Remember that, Marty? She wore her dead husband's socks. She was a little cheap. She was just slightly cheap. And she would sit, I remember I spent a week with Marge Schott, and she kept introducing me as Rick somebody from Sports America, Sports Channel, Sports Thingy, this and that. And I'd sit each night in the game in her box, dark box. She'd keep the lights off because she didn't want to pay the electric bills. And we'd sit there in this sort of dark box, and she'd drink her Kamchatka vodka. And in the third inning and again in the eighth inning, it would be me, Marge, and Shotzi, the St. Bernard, right? And there would be a knock on the door. And I remember it was the assistant general manager. What was that guy's name, Marty? It was the assistant general manager, Marty. There was the guy below him. It was a pretty big deal on the Cincinnati. He'd come to the door and he'd look all sheepish, and she would give him the leash to Shotzi, not Marty, to Shotzi. The leash on Marty was much longer. But anyway, so this poor guy had to take this stupid dog for a walk in the third and eighth inning every game. And then he'd come back, and this was the worst part. He'd knock, she'd open the door, and she'd go, "Well?" And he'd go. And the eighth inning, "Well?" He had to report on what the dog had done on the walk. This is true. I'm not making this up, right, Marty? I remember we took this whole photo session, and she did this deal where she wanted us to take a picture of her praying by her bedside, because she prayed each night to her deceased husband, which was kind of sweet. And we said, okay. And so we lit the bedroom, and we said, "We're ready for you." And she came out of the bathroom. I had one of these Catawba College kids ask me once, he did an interview with me, and they said, "Is there anything you're afraid of?" And I said, "No, nothing scares me, not even death." And I remember she said, "Why?" And I said, "I've seen Marge Schott in a lime green teddy, okay? That's all there is. To see that, twice a week therapy." And she's, talking about this pad, I kept trying to remind her that I'm a reporter, but she would say the most awful, horrible things, racist. She showed us the Nazi armband that got her in trouble. She was hiding 72 cars at her house so she didn't have to pay, so it looked like she'd sold cars. The General Motors would give her a bonus. All these things she was telling me, and she got suspended from them for 2 years. Then after the story, she got suspended for 2 years from baseball. But to me, the stupidest thing she did was, I woke up I came to her office in the morning. I said, what are we doing today? We're going to a pro-tobacco rally, honey. Everything was honey. We're going to a pro-tobacco rally. So we're going to this pro-tobacco rally, right? And I'm like, okay. I got my pad out. And so we're driving, and she's in the front seat, and Shotzi's in the front seat, and I'm in the back seat, And she's got Kamchatka vodka going in the cup holder, and she's got 2 cigarettes going, one here and one in the ashtray, and I think Shotzi's got one going, and she's steering like this because she can't see out of the she can't see over the thing, so she's like this, and there's just smoke and dog hair and vodka fumes, and we can't see. And she's about to veer. I'll never forget this. She's out of her lane, and she's gonna run a white Ford Tempo off the road into a retaining wall. And this guy's honking at us, and I'm going, I don't know. And he's going, and I said, Mrs. Schott, this guy, and he's going. And she rolls down the window. She thinks it's a Reds fan. And she goes, go Reds, honey, go Reds. Anyway, where was I? Seemed like I was accepting an award or something, but, Salisbury. So anyway, 10 times I've come up here. I'm sure you're sick of me. I love coming. I love Salisbury. I love coming down here, the people, the friendliness. So I've compiled a list of my 10 favorite things to do in Salisbury. I always come. These are 10 things I always do. Number 10, continue my secret, torrid, hot affair with Mayor Klutz. That's, maybe, I had to admit it. Number 9, I visit my winter home here in Salisbury. I never forget that. Number 8, stealing silverware at the Graham's house. That's always a nice thing. I already mentioned number 7, the train comes by. I swear a blue streak. You guys never hear me. That's one of my favorite. Number 6, I take the Louisville Slugger. I unplug the toilets at the Holiday Inn. That's one of my favorite things. Number 5, I get drunk on cheer wine. You're completely out on that. Number 4, during the Sportscaster speech, I sneak back to the hotel and rifle through all your rooms, take all your stuff. Number 3, I go down to Dale Earnhardt Garage and have a good cry. Never miss that. Number 2, I always go to the Waffle House for the post-party Chateaubriand. Fantastic. Highly recommend that. And of course, number 1, I never forget to do this. I bribe all the voters for next year. Thank you so much. Thanks.
And now you know why he's been here 10 times. A lot of traits seem to run in families of many individuals, but you don't expect the talents and the skills of parents and siblings to be so closely aligned unless, of course, you're speaking of the Buck family. We all know of the talent of Jack Buck, and last year we got a chance to meet Carol Buck as she accepted the award for Joe. This year, we meet another member of the family who has also entered the world of broadcasting as the voice of Y98 FM radio. She has done that on the afternoon drive time. Not a great time to be on the air, but she handles it beautifully. She's been a forerunner in St. Louis media for more than a decade and consistently ranks number 1 in the market. A natural sports enthusiast, it's no surprise to hear that Julie's covering the St. Louis Rams football, St. Louis baseball Cardinals, and is feature reporter for the television show Cardinals Crew. She is also the female voice talent for KPLR-TV Channel 11, and in addition to her work, she finds time to give of her talent to numerous charitable organizations while being a wife and a mother of 3 lovely young boys. Please welcome Joe Buck's sister, Julie, who will introduce her brother and accept his award. Ladies and gentlemen, Julie Buck Brooks.
Well, it's certainly an honor to be here this evening. What a tough act to follow that will be. I can just hear it now when we get home tomorrow. My son Matthew will say, "Who's Marge Schott and what's a lime green teddy?" I can just imagine. Don't ever say that, Matthew. My mom was supposed to come with me this year, and then my brother had babysitting problems, and so my husband has our other two boys, so I thought, well, I'll bring Matthew with me. You know, he's 4.5. Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but with the little chocolate wiped on us, lost luggage, and a whole lot of other things that have happened in the last few hours, we did make it, and what a lovely town. We're so glad to be here, and everyone has been so kind. I mean, my brother said, it's just like Mayberry. You're going to just love it. And he was absolutely right, and thanks to Katie, who's probably billing hundreds of dollars an hour during the day as an attorney, who is sitting at our tables outside watching my 4.5-year-old son, and then just came back in and is keeping him entertained. So I will be brief. First of all, congratulations to everyone here this evening that is being honored. It's just a terrific night, and it's an honor for me to be here with you this evening on behalf of my much older brother, Joe Buck. And this, when I say an opportunity, I mean that because, of course, as his little sister and all the abuse that I've taken over the years, I really could begin to tell you all there is to know about Joe. I could really dish it out, but tonight I've decided that's another speech for another evening. I'll keep that to myself, but if you want to talk to me out in the parking lot later, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. We come from a big family. I'm one of 8 children. They're all boys, except for 5. And what you don't know is that I've taught Joe everything he knows. Of course, he's so shy and doesn't come out of his shell very often, so he'll never tell you that. But the truth is, he gets his talent from our father, the late, great Jack Buck. And I would say that Joe is definitely a chip off the old block. I've admired the way Joe has shown such a drive to nurture his God-given talent. And of course, we miss our dad terribly every day. And it's so comforting for me to see Joe evolve to be more and more like our father. I see my dad in him through the way that he treats others, has a generous heart, his keen sense of humor, and as the years go by, to me, he's even starting to look more like my dad. So to say that Joe is a chip off the old block would be the biggest compliment that I could give him. I'm very impressed with how far Joe has come in his career. Our whole family is very proud of him. Of course, my parents would be the most proud. But I'm even more impressed with the way that he prioritizes his life and his responsibilities. He's been married for 12 years to his high school sweetheart and is a doting father of 2 of the cutest little girls that I've ever seen. And he's a father of a different generation. He's the guy who will take the red-eye home on a Sunday night so that he can drive carpool early Monday morning or get up early to cook breakfast the morning after a late extra inning game. And definitely, he's the kind of dad that will sleep in your room if you're sick or had a bad dream. So that's what makes me the most proud of my brother, is that he knows what's really important, and I admire him for that. I could not be more proud of him, and I thank you all very much for acknowledging him here this evening. Joe sent along a video to capture his gratitude and to thank you for honoring him here tonight.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is another awkward acceptance speech on my behalf. I'm sitting here at Busch Stadium getting ready for the Cardinals and Cubs. You can see the tarp is on the field, so it's raining right now. And what better thing to do during a rain delay than to sit on camera and accept an award for the National Play-by-Play category. I've got people walking in the booth. I've got distractions left and right, but I'm focused on you, the audience. I did this last year. I'm doing this year, and if I should ever win this again, I promise I will come there to Salisbury and be with you. Couple of things. I know this is basically like hostage video, but I am okay, and all is well. If I get the chance, I will be there. Now, when you are the winner, a national winner, and you call Barbara Lockhart to tell her that you can't be there, right now as you're watching this, I'm in New York at the Emmy Awards, probably watching Al Michaels accept the national award for the play-by-play category, or Dick Enberg, or somebody far better than me. When you tell Barbara Lockhart that you can't be there for the big night in Salisbury, I'm here to tell you there is no person on the face of this earth that swears like that woman. I mean, just sweet Barbara Lockert. And I call her and I say, hey, look, Barbara, I can't make it. I'm sorry. And the next thing you know, I mean, I'm covering my years. And I'm used to the clubhouse. I'm used to being around professional athletes. I think I've heard it all until Barbara gets a hold of you on the phone, and she's not happy. So, Barbara, from the bottom of my heart, I apologize. But I sent the next best thing. Just like last year when I sent my mom, this year I sent my mom and my sister. The good news is I'm sure Julie, my sister, did a great job with the introduction. The bad news is I'm out of relatives that know me really well. So if I should ever win this thing again and I can't be there, there's no telling who could show up on my behalf. I know it's not going to be Randy Moss. You know what I'm saying there. Let's talk about the Randy Moss thing right now. I think I learned a lot this year about myself, personally and professionally. And I think from different time to time, I guess, during the season, I thought a lot about my dad because I wish I had him around to bounce some of the things off. I was stunned at the reaction that I got for what I said about Randy Moss. And in the end, it turned out to be the reaction from a lot of members of the media, which I'll talk about in a second. But Randy Moss, if you don't know the story, although these are members of the media from, I guess, both radio and television and print, you know what the deal was and what I said during that playoff game in Green Bay. What he did struck me as something that was wrong and something that had no place in the NFL, and these touchdown celebration dances are getting weirder and sometimes worse week after week. But he did it, and I reacted. And I think what I learned, if I was going to make a serious speech about it, is that the high wire act that I think we all are a part of when we're doing a national broadcast or even a local broadcast, radio or television, the beauty of it is you have to react and you have to stand by the way you react. You have to be prepared, and then you have to let it fly. And I think the fun part of it, and maybe sometimes the dangerous part of it, is you throw it out there and you have to wait for the reaction. I don't have, and you guys don't have, that are in radio and television, the luxury of sitting back and digesting things and then thinking about how you want to react and what kind of public face you want to put on something. He did it, I reacted, and then for some reason I caught about it. But I'll tell you this, I'm proud of the way I reacted on it and to it. I still think what he did was wrong, and if I'm going to come down on one side or the other, I'm glad I'm on the side that I'm on. As it turned out, it really was a lot of newspaper columnists and people that have radio talk shows and some TV guys that took shots at me, and that's fine. I mean, if you're going to be in the position that I'm in week after week, you have to take the good with the bad, you have to take the applause with the criticism, and that's all part of it. But what I realized was I was happy with what I did, and I don't broadcast for columnists or radio talk show hosts across the country or guys that do both. You know, some guys write columns for a living, and then they realize that there's some more money in television. They get all polished up, and they get a new haircut, and they put on some makeup, and now they're a television guy. And some of those guys took shots at me, and that's okay. But I guess the point of it and why I bring it up is that I'm just pleased with how it happened, and I realize that I have to stick by what I say and not back down. And then, you know, I thought it was a little much when Red McCombs, after I said that, and I was doing the Vikings the next week, wanted me to have my citizenship taken away and have me deported. I mean, I thought that was a little much. But Red sold the team, Randy Moss got traded, so I'm still at Fox. I guess in the end, everything worked out the better for me. And I don't have to do Raiders games, so Randy, have a nice career over in the AFC. Like I said last year, I'm so pleased to get this award because it's voted on by people that are in this business. I still don't know who votes on the Emmys, so I'm either happy or dejected from that night tonight as you watch this, but I'm thrilled to get this award from you. It's a great time in Salisbury. Barbara, for all of her cursing, does a phenomenal job and lives and dies for the NSSA, and it's people like that that make it fun to come to Salisbury. So if I ever win it again, I'm going to try like to be there, and if I can't, then Mom, find somebody there. Get married, have some more kids, and I'll send one of those people to accept the award. Mom, Julie, thanks for being there. Everybody, thanks for the award. Rick Reilly, I'm sure, was better than this anyway. Have a great night. Thanks.
NSSA has been inducting casters, writers, and celebrities into the Hall of Fame since 1962, starting with Grantland Rice. That tradition has continued with the addition of one or two or sometimes three members every year since then. This year brings us two more Hall of Famers who have been recognized for their talent and their contribution to sports either by writing or by casting. Our Sportswriter of the Year comes by her talent as naturally as that of the Buck family. Sally Jenkins is the daughter of a Hall of Fame winner from 1996, Dan Jenkins. Dan is one of those few writers who doesn't limit himself to one field or even to one genre for his works. He has written for newspapers and magazines. He's written novels, nonfiction books, and screenplays. He even co-wrote the prize-winning title song for Baja California with Willie Nelson. There is hardly a prize that Dan has not won for writing. He is a 5-time nominee for the Pulitzer Prize in Commentary and Fiction. He's probably best known to you as a monthly columnist and feature writer for Golf Digest. But tonight, he is Sally's dad, and he's here now to introduce you to his talented daughter. Please welcome Hall of Famer Dan Jenkins.
Thank you very much. I haven't had a standing ovation since I came home one night before midnight. I now have a new ambition in life, is to be a Rick Reilly presenter. You know, back in my newspaper days, we always said that the two greatest motivations for a writer were poverty and deadlines. And then I moved to New York. We moved to New York and had children and raised them in Manhattan. And I quickly decided that the two greatest motivations for a writer were private schools and deadlines. The first thing I need to do before I go any further is to introduce the person who is mostly responsible for Sally Jenkins, her talent and her personality, and that's her mother, my wife of 45 years, June Jenkins. The second person I need to introduce is the man who turned Sally Jenkins